Thank you for tuning in to The Real Tea with T3. My name is Tisha Harris, and I'm going to be your host today. I'm also the team leader of Texas Trio Team, so be sure to like and subscribe and check us out online. And we've got amazing guests with us today that really make an impact on the community out here in Washington County. So who are you ladies, and what keeps you busy these days?
Hi, yes, I am Elizabeth Gill, and I work and serve at our daughter's house as the community coordinator, and it keeps me busy these days, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Thank y'all for having us. I really appreciate that. My name is Shelby, and I am actually the chair of the board of directors for our daughter's house. That is one of the many things that I have the privilege of doing. I also am the executive director of Burnham Next, which is a local nonprofit in town. And so between, being with them and being with our own organization, man, it's been a really sweet ride, but it definitely keeps me busy.
Yeah, and so if you don't mind, just share with the viewers of what is Our Daughter's House.
Yeah, so Our Daughter's House is a home for girls aging out of foster care. Wow. Okay. Is a home for girls aging out of foster care. And so this is at the age of 18. Sometimes even when they're 17, the state says, all right, well, you're an adult. And so we have created a place that these girls and even moms with kids or about to have kids can come and then get some of those very necessary things, like for the simplest thing of even like their birth certificate, driver's license, GED, and then from there to be able to come and walk on their own 2 feet out of the house into adulthood. So,
Right, and so. And it's so, I hadn't even really, and it's very egotistical, I guess, maybe, or just like, I hadn't really thought about when they get out of foster care that they don't have those key essentials like to go on with life. And so, I mean, that's literally even learning how to grocery shop.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, in the state of Texas, at 18, whether you are in school, out of school, like that day on your birthday, you no longer have a place to stay. And so this is why we have a home, is because we want you to be able to step into a place where you could go, okay, like I'm not alone, right? Because as an 18-year-old, typically, I mean, we know what it was like to go to college. Like that felt alone, but you had people as a support. Some of these girls like don't have a single family member, right? Or it was a failed adoption, or they've just been in care. And when you don't have your necessary things like a driver's license or even your GED, getting a job to be able to afford your own place is hard. And so we have 25,000 kids are aging out every year. 25,000, and we talk about foster care, but
25,000 in the state of Texas or in like the United States?
United States.
Really?
Yes, 25,000. I mean, that's a lot of kids though.
That are inside the foster care system that they're aging out.
Right.
Got it.
It's about 250,000 that are in foster care though. And when in the U.S. we think about orphan care and we think about a third world country, right? But we've labeled it foster care, so it seems a lot more of care.
So whenever you said like whenever they're 18, so if they're in their senior year and they turn 18 and the state is no longer, putting them inside of that box, what happens to these, not just girls, but to the young men, like whenever they're inside the system, like are they like, yes, they could still be enrolled in school, but they're basically homeless if they don't figure something out right away? Right.
And so we have some astounding statistics. So that 40% of our homeless population have been in foster care at one point. And about 60% have been domestically trafficked. And about 80% are in prison. So you could say this, in our prison system, 80% of those in prison at the moment have once been in foster care. So those are typically their options, is they're on the street, and then that turns into survival, and that can turn into trafficking or to get in prison, right? And so that is why there's a home, which is a prevention home, is to try to prevent those things, because they literally will get dropped off just in the center of town or at one of the offices, and like, all right, you're 18.
Really?
Yes. And what's pretty fascinating is that if you have a kid in foster care and you do not have a permanent place of residence when you age out, they will take that kid and put them back into foster care. And so that's why we also have a home that we can take in the kids with the moms, which there's only about 3-4 in the U.S. that do this right now. And it's tragic.
It sounds to me like the entire system is broken. And so you guys came up with a resolution, but it's just such a tiny little piece. Like, is there options where the state and or on a federal level that they're giving people to do this, or is it pretty complex to be getting into starting a home of this nature?
Well, to be honest with you, after 18, the state is no longer involved.
That's true.
So that is actually the beauty of this, is like the founders, Jenny and Chris, when they wanted to be a part of the foster care system in Texas at the time, if you had more than 5 kids in your home, you could no longer foster. And so for them, they were like, well, if we feel like the Lord is still asking us to be a part of this, well, after 18, the state has no say. Mm-hmm. So we can grab the kids right then, and not even kids, adults.
Mm-hmm. And so is it very common that whenever these youth, as they're turning 18 and becoming adults, like that they can find these resources like through their current homes, or they're having to go through it, and then if they have like a breakdown, that they are like, okay, I need to find something to help me?
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times once they do have resources, but a lot of times these 18-year-olds are in survival mode. So a lot of times they have not finished high school. They've struggled in school. They've gone from home to home to home. So presenting them with resources, but not a support in how to use resources, when they're in survival mode, it's just a disservice for them. And a lot of times, yes, like the CPS care, they have PAL systems, and they have ways for the young adults to learn about the resources, but it's up to them if they want to really move forward with all the resources that they are presented. And you have to remember that these are kids that have been through a lot and who struggle and have a lot of things going against them. So even then, I mean, to be motivated to have those resources, it's still a struggle.
There was a one time we were talking to a PAL, which is preparing for adult living. That's a program that they have. And one of the PAL's workers, he said, there's such thing called service fatigue. Mm-hmm. Where, have you ever experienced, you go try to get your driver's license and they're like, oh, you need this paper. Mm-hmm. So you leave and you go back, and then you come back and you're like, oh, you still need this. And okay, you go back and then you come back. And so that's another thing, is that, we've had a girl in the house that didn't even have her citizenship, and it wasn't on her own fault. Mm-hmm. That was because of the situation that she got brought over here for that reason, right? Or they don't have their birth certificate. And so, like the service fatigue alone is like, there's services out there. And when they really have all of those essential documents, they really can tap into them pretty easy. But it's until they have that. And that's the hardest part. Have you ever tried to get your driver's license without any other help? Like, where do I go? Where do I, but as far as them finding us, they absolutely they're resourceful. That's the thing, is they're resourceful in their own way, because it's survival. Right. And so they're looking on YouTube, they're on Facebook, they're calling people, and our daughter's house, we actually take girls from all over the US. So it's not just Texas. So we've had from Washington, DC, we've had from Louisiana, we've had a couple of different locations. So they will find it as well as some of their caseworkers. So it's pretty frequent that we have a caseworker reach out saying, hey, I have a girl that is in need of a place.
Yeah. And I mean, and I might open a can of worms, and if you don't want to go there, it's fine. But it's just like, even the educational system is broken. It's like, why is that not? I know, like for us, I mean, maybe not, I'll just speak for myself. Like, they don't sit there and teach you how to do taxes. They don't teach you how to make financial statements and P&Ls and like things like that. Like, they're just getting you through the base curriculum to go on. And it's like, if you knew, I'm sure their counselors, their principals, like the people in administration, know that this kid is a foster student and like are in foster care. Why are they not making those conversations like mandatory when they are minors and are going to be stepping out into the real world?
Yeah. I might actually open a can of worms in response to that. Is actually beyond the educational system and the government, it's actually a broken home.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for the family unit, education is like the educational system is just a offshoot of like your family, right? And like the government is only doing what the family is not, right? Or the church is not. And so with the family needs to be whole, but to do that, they also need all those resources as a family, right? And so that is where the brokenness starts. And so in the educational system, they are teaching basics, but like, what is the family doing at home? Or is the family relying completely on the education or the government to take care of all of those things? And so when I think of a lot of our girls, I go, man, like your family put you in this situation. Like your family put you in this situation based on their decision. And it may have been a heartache for the family, right? But some of them, I'm like, it was a family issue, which then trickled down into this legacy and this heritage, which is the beautiful part where we get to intervene in with the kids that come in the home. And I say kids, like the little ones. When you're impacting a life at our daughter's house, you're impacting their family life forever, right? Like the little ones that are coming in, and I look at them and I go, man, you're not going to experience the same thing as your mom did. You know? And so
I'm sure that makes them more like, once they kind of get through the struggle and like getting through, withdrawals and things like that, that makes them so much more loving towards their kids. It's like you're giving them a path that you never had.
They're natural defenders. And that's the thing, is that they look and they go, because we in the house, we make sure like, oh, there's a baby in the room. That is a priority, the baby. Right. And so a natural defender as a mom wants them to have the best. I didn't have this, or you'll hear those sayings like they want the best for their kid, and you won't experience what I did,
Yeah. And I mean, even like you said, there's such a large percentage that once they are, if they have kids and then they turn into an adult, then if they have the baby, then they're taking them away. So that cycle is just so repetitive, nationwide, and it's really sad. But it's so empowering that there are organizations like what you guys are doing to step into that role.
Yeah, there is actually an organization in Houston that will actually take the child up to a certain age so that mom can get on her feet and then come back, which I'm really grateful for that too, because that allows you to think solely for yourself, which you might have not done for a long time, right? Or it might have been purely survival mode, and then you can go, okay, I'm on my 2 feet. Now I'm going to re-enter with my kid, versus I'm going to go find them in foster care or hope they haven't been adopted out, because that's another thing. They'll get adopted out before that mom can get on her feet.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, it breaks my heart, And so what led you to get into this mission of helping these girls and these kids?
Well, for me personally, what led me is, Jenny and Chris, by the way, Jenny and Chris Williams, they're the founders of our daughter's house. And knowing her story and following her story, I grew up with Jenny, and so I had just been following her on Facebook and like just keeping up with, people you went to school with, and learning about her and her love for foster care was very compelling. And that really led me to our daughter's house and to learn about our daughter's house. And that was when they first started 5 years ago. And so, so that led me to really be involved in our daughter's house from behind, like in the background, just by learning and being an advocate and supporting. But what led me to work at our daughter's house was I have a heart for the young moms there. I was a young mom myself. I had my son when I was 19 years old, and really struggled and had to learn how to raise him. And so for me, it was learning that there's moms who are in the home, and they are they come from a broken home, and so they're also just learning how to be a parent, how to be a mom, and learning what their worth is, and learning how to really raise their child. And so for me, it was really the moms. It was moms there, and it was breaking generational cycles, being able to give them and their children hope. And that's what really drew me to our daughter's house. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's interesting because I became a part of an orphan care ministry in Haiti at one point during college. And I loved the idea of standing in the gap for someone who didn't have that. And then little did I know our daughter's house was being formed 4 miles from my parents' house at this time. And I actually stumbled upon them through some funny stories, but I needed a place to do my thesis for grad school, and my location fell through, and I was introduced to them. And I walked in, and she was showing me this house that was being renovated. It was beautiful, and man, she just started speaking. I was like, these are my people. These are my people. And like she said, when she started sharing about the heart of like God's heart for the orphan, but the passion she had. And it's funny because someone the other day just said how like addicting it is to like hear them speak about something that has broken their heart, like the Lord's heart, and like they just want to be involved. And I was like, I want to be here. And the moment I got involved, I was able to discover, even like as these girls are discovering things about themselves, like their strengths or what they enjoy doing, or they're being equipped in certain ways. The Lord was doing that for me at the same time. And no, I wasn't in their same shoes, right? But I was still learning alongside for myself. And the word daughter to me, honestly, just like makes my knees weak, because when somebody calls you daughter, there's such an intimacy there. Like when my dad says daughter, there's nothing I can do. I can run away. I can go to Mars. I could do so many things, but I will never not be my parents' daughter, right? And so the idea of they've always been called residents or their case number or something, clients, but to be like, this is like your daughter. I don't ever want to leave. And I've definitely been around for 5 years or 4, and I have loved every second of that, because seeing people change, seeing the girls change from coming in, and we don't, their case file has maybe some information, but that's not even where we start. We start with who they are. We give them an opportunity, and to watch them walk out and understand what the word daughter is, or to feel like a place of belonging. That's how I kind of like got involved, but have stayed involved, truthfully.
Right. And you're giving them a home, that place that on the holidays and all of that, after they've graduated, from your organization, that they can like give you a call anytime. You've built that trust that they never had before.
Yeah, we actually have we call it a flex room. And so we always keep a room open. So if any girls that go to college or, go off to work and they want to come back for the holidays or just to visit, they have the ability to do so. And so we actually do have girls that do that. And they really are part of the family. We get excited, the kids get excited, we're always looking forward to who's coming back. And so.
Right. And so I'm sure, like you said, they probably have a lot of street smarts. You've got the educational smarts, and then you've got street smarts.
Right.
Are you learning things like from them when they come in and they start telling their story that you never would have guessed happened actually like to someone?
I have definitely been so proud to see the strength of some of these women, like where they come in and they don't share often, but if they kind of mention something and you go, I don't know how I would have come out from that. I don't know if I would be right here right now going, I'm going to keep going, because some of them, from being trafficked to being homeless to someone adopting you and then having that failed adoption of I can't do this anymore, to find rejection in such a way, and then to be willing to like get involved in something again. I think I'm just astounded by their strength in that. And so that's really what that is. I'm actually more taken aback by their strength, but also still like my jaw drops sometimes and I go, her story was what? That, who did that?
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm learning, I would say, every time I get to have, which is so special, face-to-face time with these girls. And I think, who am I to be just such a small piece in their life, and I get to be part of such big moments of their lives. I get to see their resilience, and I've learned that resilience, like you can change your path, you can change your future, and there's so much resilience. And to see a girl come in fearful, put walls up, not trust anybody in the home, have defenses, maybe have anger, and to see her break those down and really find that success and really see her go, and it clicks and you can see it. And she, they are so resilient. and in such a quick time too. It's like you see, like, this is what they've been needing. This is what they've needed all along. It's just a belonging, like Shelby said, a family, and somewhere just to give them a place that they have freedom, they have choices in the foster care system. That's one of the things that Jenny will share about a lot, is they don't have a choice. They are told when to wake up, what to do, and so it's a system. And so they come to us, and they, for the first time, a lot of them have freedom to have a choice. And so, I mean, we have rules and we have things that they have to abide by, but they have choices of, like, where do you want to work? Do you want to get your GED? How does this, what are your goals?
Or you've worked
yeah.
You've worked so hard. Now it's time you can go buy a car. Which car do you want?
And so, like, we're here for you. And so it's really cool to see, but they have a lot of resilience. And I learn that every time I speak to one of the girls and their stories. If you ever get to hear, I mean, like she said, they don't share a whole lot. And, but when they do, and you get to be a part of those moments, those big moments, it's really special. So, yeah.
I love that so much. And so I was watching, like, we were talking statistics. I was watching a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about, like, it was, I'm going to butcher who it was. I think it was in New York. They were talking that there, because of the open border policy, there's about 500,000 children that are missing. So is this like something like what you guys are working with, that you're also kind of like seeing the tail end of things like that?
You know, I think, man, to be honest, I think that in that scenario, you know, like, they are somewhat nameless in that process, but also, like, that the state has, like, their eyes set on who is in the U.S. and things like that. So, like, I think there is a separation where we're not really seeing that, but I definitely, the similarities in the stories are very similar. I don't think we interact as much with that as though.
Yeah, because like you said, like human trafficking, like what percentage would you say is like that is happening within the girls that are not necessarily coming to you guys, but within that type of demographic?
The demographic for human trafficking is, and for foster care, you said, that's about 60%.
Right.
Yeah, you're seeing that 60% is of the domestic traffic have once been in foster care, and that's because they're so vulnerable. They don't know how to trust yet, because every place they've gone is a different interaction with that human, and so lack of trust or immediate trust because they need something, right? That's survival. I'm going to get money, or I'm going to have a place to stay that night because of this.
Yeah, and then like groomers. I mean,
absolutely.
Like they're going to lure them because they're the easiest to get into their world, and like it's a lot of love, and then it's all of a sudden not at all.
Right, right, and we have seen that. Groomers, and it's something that we try to be really protective of in the house, is who they interact with, and even just their time spent on their phones or social, because they are vulnerable to, someone can just say, I have this much money, and it doesn't even have to be a lot. That's the thing, is that they are in survival, and money is a big key to get out of survival, and so that is a big thing that is hung in front of them, and groomers are something to really be aware of.
Could you tell anybody, like, if that's watching, like, even for their own kids or for their own, like, awareness, like, what are some things that you guys are maybe seeing that you can warn your girls about that you could warn others?
Yeah, one thing would be, honestly, is just, like, your phone is something, I mean, the phones are a huge topic right now, right? Social media, all the things. But it really is just the slow chisel away at your ability to to see the difference. Your discernment is like falling apart when you're like, is this good for me, or is this actually like where is this taking me? Like we are losing our kids' attention and our young adults' attention to social media, and so being present with them and actually helping them decide when it is a good time to be on your phone and when it's not, and how to have those boundaries, and because you have such a short attention span now, how do you feed them with that? You know, a lot of our kids these days, especially because I work with kids on a day-to-day basis, is that they're not, they're getting in trouble because they're bored, because we can't keep their attention. And so people are going to naturally go to their phone, which naturally is going to open their door up to so many people. And I wouldn't say that all of those are good people.
Right. And even like probably when they were growing up, depending on who they had that was taking care of them, is they didn't have access to phones and iPads and all the stuff. And so when they maybe get a little bit of money, then they're like, I want to be cool like everybody else. And they're going and getting that. I was watching there's a guy named, have you ever heard of Ryan Montgomery?
Yes.
You have? And have you ever seen what he does? Like, so he'll do like live, but he'll put like go into Google Chats, like, and you can like instantly, like you can just join. It's targeted for teenagers, but it absolutely is not. Like you can just go on there, and then as soon as you put like hi, all these people are start like communicating and talking to them, and so then they're like, ask how old you are, and they say 13, and they're like, oh well, I'm 24, like, and then you just go down that rabbit hole of where it could actually go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's at this point you have so much access and openness to other people that you really can't vet them.
No, and same thing is they may not have had access to like the technology, but then they're getting it, and then they want to be loved, they want to be appreciated.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I think with like being aware as a parent or any of your viewers is that they'll tell them what they want to hear. They'll tell them exactly what they want to hear.
You're so beautiful.
As a child. Like, what are you interested? Oh my gosh, I love that too. And so they'll just gain their, kids and anybody, they just want to be known. They want to be known, and so they'll find anything for them to have in common, and then use that manipulation and whatever, and so for our girls, it's really important that they are known and they feel loved where they are, because hopefully they wouldn't be seeking it out. They're aware of like who is false and who is the real, but for viewers, you just really you have to be aware of like they really want to just be interested in you, and so
I think undivided attention is something that people don't get these days. Like right now you and I this is going to be an hour long of not being on a device. We're giving each other undivided attention, and what's established there is actually this very sweet foundation that can be built upon. And so even in the house, we like to say that it's not just I'm going to share the gospel, I'm going to do this. It's I'm going to live it out. And that is providing like genuine attention, genuine contact, right? And not just constantly distracted, because still at the age of 18, especially when you've gone through a lot of trauma, you are actually learning sometimes at like a 10, 12-year-old level, right? And so a 16-year-old level, I mean, and so because of that, they're following and mimicking what you do. And so I would say, even as a parent and somebody in the community, is that we are influencing people by what we do. And when everybody's on their phone, then it's fine because it's normal. That's the baseline. Everyone does it, right? But when we're actually able to like set it down, have quality time, go to a restaurant, put your phone away. That's rare, right? Quality time, and that builds something, and they go, oh, like this is actually good, right? And I can grasp on this, and I can grow with this, right? But you have to see that first, not just be told that.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like it's an influential thing of who you're around. So do they ever have like circumstances where they were at growing up may not have been the best influence? So do they have like a problem identifying of like that's troublesome and then correcting the habit, or do they have a pretty good intuition as to that probably shouldn't have been happening my whole life?
I'd say it's like girl by girl. Like some girls can have a pretty good grasp on that's not healthy, that's toxic. But some girl, I mean, with anybody, they're still drawn to the people who they think care for them, whether it's a toxic or healthy. So it's a lot of conversations and counseling to help them realize whether that relationship that they've come from, or that whatever it is that they've come from is toxic or healthy. But I would say it just depends on each girl. Some girls are, I don't need that, and some girls really struggle and battle with whether people in their past are good for them to continue in whichever. I
think they are incredibly smart in the way that they see that for others, but it's hard to see the root of that in themselves. Like a lot of us, that's a normal thing for everybody, right? It's like, oh, that, and then you realize like, oh, like, I've been influenced in that way, right? Or they know it's not great, but they don't see other options. That is one thing that I've realized in a lot of conversations, is that some of them can't see past 3 days. Because that they've never been able to, because they don't know the next 3 days of where they'll live, where they'll eat, right? So like they might see that is not good long term, but they don't have any other option. So they don't see options, like they said, choices. They don't see longevity, or they don't see long term. And so trying to give them like hey, look up for a minute. You have the opportunity to sit in this house and go, I want to go there. And then we're going to walk all the way back and go, okay, now what do I do from there? And so even with people, okay, this is what this person's been doing. This is what it's going to continue to do to you or with you. So let's look up for a minute, take a pause. You'll be fed. You'll have a house. You'll be able to sleep tonight. Let's just talk about that. And let's think through that and give you some steps to go forward.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I loved about you guys whenever I had first met you and started talking to all of you ladies, was like, you are helping them set goals. Whether that be, 30 days, 1 year, 10 years, like you're helping them accomplish those. And those are just life skills that not just them, but a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, I would say that for even myself, like anxiety sometimes hits when I'm like, somebody goes, what do you want to do in 5 years? And I go, I don't know. Like, what can I do? But with these girls, like now we have girls that have become police officers. Like, really? Yeah. We have Houston police officers. We've had some that are working in more of like the legal side of with foster care, and we have one in college. I mean, we have, and they're going places. And I think they just need a minute to be able to not fear what's over their head, what's going to be in their stomach, what's going to be on their clothes, right? So that they can think about, what is my next step and what do I need to get there?
Yeah. And it's one of those that like, I think just anyone has to sometimes have a breakdown to have that breakthrough and make an impact on society. And so God bless them, that happened to them in their life, but look at them now.
Yeah, I would say that we try to not just go, tell us your past. Like, let's not focus, not just all of the past. Our conversation that we like to have in the house is all future oriented.
I love that.
Okay, that was your past, but it's not your future. Okay, that was what happened in the past, but that's not your future, right? And so we try to be forward thinking at all times. There is a reason why you think this way, but from right now, it's no longer.
And that's what I tell my kids, like, because we all have anxiety or we have moments of that and stress. And so I tell them that all the time, like they're in that teenage years, and so I'll ask them, I'm like, is this going to impact you in 30 days? Is this going to impact you in a year? And then they're like, no. And I'm like, then get over it,
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes it's a yes, and it's like, okay, let's make a pivot.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's good to be able to, I think one of the beautiful things about the house is that you get that opportunity to consider, right? Like when you're in survival mode, you can't consider. It's do or die. And here it's like, okay, if I do this, I go here. If I do this, I go here. Okay, what are my options? Okay, what do I need? Okay, great. Let's do that. And we go, and then someone's like, I can't do that. No, you can. Yeah, you can. And here's all the reasons why, and here's all the characteristics you have, and here's all the resources we have, and you go, girl.
Yeah. So you said earlier that one of the struggles that they may have is boredom. So what are some of the filler things that you guys are doing so they kind of eliminate that as an excuse?
I mean, really, it's being a part of the community. This is an amazing community in Brenham and Chapel Hill. So it's encouraging that. Like just last week, or was that this week? That was Monday. It was a long week. On Monday, I took them to go get their library card. And one of our girls wants to join a gym. And we really encourage them wherever they want to find community. They're invited to church in this community. And so they have the freedom to find community in that as well. And if they work, they find their friends at work. We encourage that, but we offer that and just life skills. And so we spend a lot of time. Every week we really try to have somebody come in and teach them a life skill. And so that could lend from anywhere from conflict resolution to car maintenance. We've had somebody come in and do car maintenance. How do you change air filters in your home? How do you do a resume? cooking, and so we offer them as well. And then they get to meet a whole group of community of women who come in as volunteers, and they get to come in, or sometimes men, you know, who do like car maintenance and stuff, and they really get to see a bigger community of people who invest in them and really want to see them succeed. So yeah.
I think it's a discovery process too, where you know, we have chickens out of the house, and then one of them started to see that, you know, there's an incubator, and then so now they're doing that, and so like they find little things that like really grab their interest, and then like just like feeding that in the best way. So another example is one of our girls is a reader, and we found that out, and so we just started like texting our friends and be like, we got a reader in the house, and like literally within the next day we had like a whole bag of books, and now she's part of the book club at the Book Nook, and like she went to book swap with us, and so it's like a cool opportunity because they get to find their like their hobbies, their interests, and then we just get to be like, oh, that's fun, let's do that, you know.
They find their thing, and then they begin to network with those people, their peers, and finding that their own community of where they feel welcome. I love that.
Yeah,
and I think we do, you know, we have we have like a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and all of those have goals within them, but the girls set their goals themselves, right? So but with that, like those GED, social security card, birth certificate, those things right there, like people are studying for their GED, or they're studying for their driver's license test, and so there's also opportunity where we're pushing them to sit and study, and when that gets, you know, of course, boring, or you're like, I've done that 10 times now, it's just being able to find another way to educate them for their future, to some degree, like life skills, or and then they volunteer all the time, all over town. So we have some that will go, like one of the daughters that loves to read, she now volunteers at the library, you know, and then they get to also network through that. So they actually love to serve, especially when they find kind of their niche.
That's so cool. So not without saying their name or anything, do you have any like major success stories that you're like, this is why I do this?
Yeah. Actually at our last dinner, I was able to converse with one of them, and she admits, she goes, I squeezed every ounce out of your program, like every resource, every connection. And she ended up getting a full-time job at Bluebell for 2 years, held it for 2 years, saved enough money, got a car. And in that, closer to the end of her time with us, she was driving quite a distance to this to city to learn kind of like a self-defense. What does she call it? Is it self-defense?
Jiu-jitsu?
It's
Brazilian
like
jiu-jitsu or something?
It's like a self-defense, basically.
Okay.
But her goal is to have her own like business one day. So after 2 years, she did her savings, she got her car. She even was an RA for us for a time, for the girls, to pour back into the girls to help them when they kind of came in. Then she has left and now working full-time, learning so that she could come back to she wants to do it in College Station, as start the self-defense for women, like a dojo. And so she is like, I mean, just hitting the pavement, and she will squeeze every ounce of conversation, resource, connection. How do I do that? And she'll ask you, and I love that. I love that she's so inquisitive. And
how old is she? Just curious.
I think she's 20 now.
I believe she's 20.
Isn't that incredible?
Oh yeah.
You know, sometimes it takes you to like, you know, mid-20s to be like, maybe I want to do that, and she's already like hammering it out.
And that support system, I think, is really great for her, is that people look forward to seeing her. And it's a good thing to feel, you know, like any of us love that, to feel a place of belonging. So she comes back for holidays, or if she's back for the weekend, I mean, it's like movie nights, and, you know.
Does she have her own place? Like,
she is she's a roommate.
But you know, like whenever they finally have that place, like you have a home, like mom and dad, that you're the daughter, you can go to, but then also you have your own space and you're starting out fresh, and like that's a good feeling.
And it's encouraging for our girls when she comes back. They can see and they can hear, and she encourages them because she was once in their shoes, and she can show them what they are capable of. So it's really cool to have her come back, and she's one of our success stories for sure.
I think another one, just quickly, is that we have a girl who I said went to the Houston Police Department. She had a daughter in the home, sweet kid. Well, she just had her second kid, and so what's exciting for me is just knowing that she's confident as a mom to hold a full-time job, to have kids, to have this life on her own. She lives on her own. Like, I mean, she's doing the thing that she desires. She said when she came in, this is what I want to do. And she's doing it and has a family. And she knows that family is being able to grow because she's capable and she has support.
Yeah. And I mean, there's people out there with feedback about law enforcement that, and she's giving back of like, and I'm sure she has a really keen eye of what to look out for as well.
That, but also, she's interacted with police. You interact with police when you deal with CPS. And so she does know how to not only see it, but also I think approach it.
Right.
I think is a good word, approach.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So what about you? What are some things that you just have absolutely loved and seen, like why you want to keep doing this?
Actually, I was talking to Shelby a couple weeks ago, and sometimes it's not the success stories. Sometimes it's the really hard stories that you see a girl that gives up, a girl that makes it so far, and you've invested so much and you've built relationship with, and those sometimes, that's the stories that keep me doing what I'm doing, is when you see a girl give up and it's heartbreaking. Like, we all take it really, I mean, we all love every one of these girls like they're our daughters. And so for me, it's that, and seeing that and going, okay, there's still so much for her, but I really want for the next girl to come in, like she said, to squeeze everything out of here that they can. And so it's those hard stories that keep me doing what I'm doing right now. It's not always just the success stories, but yeah, it's rewarding, but it's not even for the reward. It's not even for any of that. It's really just to do what you're called to do. I feel called to do what I'm doing. I feel called to be in these girls' lives. I feel very humbled to do it. And so, for me, it's just definitely watching a girl walk out and you're like, no, there was so much more. And then really that spurs me on to be like, no.
That fires you up.
Yeah, absolutely. It breaks your heart and then it fires you up.
Right.
Yeah.
So doing this mission that you're doing, like, what are things that you've learned about yourself?
Oh, man. Man, I've come face to face with pride so many times, and privilege. Pride and privilege are two things that I come face to face with constantly, is because I'm like, I'm like, man, I get to do this, or I get to do that, or I have the opportunity to do this, or I have the gateway to do that, right? I have the resources, where I used to take bad advantage of them. Now I take good advantage of them, and to say, oh, I'm going to take every opportunity I have. And I've just learned that lack of gratitude is even something I encounter quite a bit, is that I'll say something and go, oh man, but I'm so grateful, like, for this or that, I'm even grateful for trials at this point. And so for me, those three things, I think I come in encounter with a lot that just humble me to the place of, like, I do still have needs for people. I still have needs for resources, and I don't have this all figured out. In fact, I talk to girls a lot, and I'm actually learning as I go. I'm learning as I go. The things I'm saying, I'm like, oh, that's good advice. I should take that, and in fact, they don't even really, it's not even advice that they want. It's just they want to talk through it. And I think that I've just learned a lot about myself, is I need all the things that they're going, like, in the moment, right now, the things that they need and they're going through, I have those same things, but what they're coming in with is really shattered perspectives, or feel less in value. And so just being able to build them up in that way has, like, really shown me that, like, I'm not above them, I'm with them. And I don't want to say that I will ever understand some of the things that they've gone through. I won't, or I don't, but I definitely go, okay, like, man, the Lord loves us so much. I think them a little bit more. And the reason being is because no one should have ever been taught. I mean, like, have gone through that. And so I learn a lot about that. I don't even know how to, like, really go into that.
Yeah, just the awareness of things. Yeah.
Yeah. That I have a long way to go.
We all do,
Yeah. Definitely. Gosh, I've learned that, I'm an empathetic person. I have a lot of empathy. So I've learned to lay it at the Lord's feet, honestly, if I can be honest. I mean, I learned not to carry their stories, carry their burden, and to really trust the Lord, trust his goodness for their life, trust that he has a plan, and it's not our plan, it's not what we see for them. And so I've really learned, I have a daughter who's 19, so who's their age, and a son who's 22. And so for me, I mean, I'm trusting the Lord with my own kids' lives, and trusting with these girls every day, every time they, it's a daily, and it's small steps too. Like when they come in, you want big things for them. You see what they can do. You see their capabilities. But it's such small steps, and that's okay too. Like it's okay for them to take the small steps, and those are big wins. And so when people are like, success stories, or every day is a success story. Like every single day that these girls wake up and they are able to choose for themselves what they are walking in, it is a success story. And so for me, it's seeing their successes in those ways. And for me, it's really, I've learned that the Lord can use your story. And so for me, I've held on to my story, my own story, for so long, and for the Lord to bring me to a place where it's not about me, but I'm able to see that he healed me, and like he's given me, and be so thankful. For years I was the victim, and now I can be thankful for my story, and bring him glory in it, and to pray that over these girls, and to be like, this is gonna be, they're gonna have beautiful stories. And so for me, it's just learning to lay it at the Lord's feet, so that I'm not crying with every girl and every story. And I'm thankful. I'm seeing it, and I'm asking the Lord to show me all the time. Like, just show me what you're doing, how you're moving. And I'm very thankful. I'm just learning, like she said, just to be thankful and sit in it with them. But again, I'll never understand as well. But yeah.
And just noticing the signs of things. And so like, that's kind of a sign for me. It's like, I talk to a lot of business owners, or just people in our community. And one of the things that our team started doing, at the beginning of the year, was just like every single morning saying like an affirmation and 3 things we're grateful for. And so it's so important for us to be reminded of that on a regular basis, of how not easy that we have it, but how good we've created it to make an impact on our community and make an impact on other people's lives.
Yeah, I have to give a shout out to our program manager. Her name is Christy Williams, and she does this so well for our girls. She really speaks that over them, into them, teaches them how to speak it over themselves and over their children. She makes it a home like that, where they are spoken affirmations over. She sends them daily things for them. And so, yeah, that is something that is definitely, words are big, and she uses those to really encourage and to instill that into our girls. So, yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is, the words you speak are the house you live in. And I think that's really big in this house, because we could speak constantly about the past and what happened and who I am because of that. Or we could speak to where we're going because of that, and who I am now because of resilience and things of that nature. And so it is really, like I said earlier, just like how we live it out in front of them, but also like the words we speak around them, to them. And even now, like every time, it should be an honoring thing, because they're amazing.
Yeah, truly. So what are some things that our daughter's house is working on, maybe, or the way that the community can contribute to help you guys?
Yes. So we are in 2025, very excited for the next year coming up. As a community, I mean, we have volunteer opportunities. So you would just contact us. We have on our website You can go to Serve and it'll send you to an application, and we have a volunteer screening process, but we always are looking for volunteers. We have opportunities, different ones. You can be consistently on the home team. You can help us in the office. Transportation, our girls that come in within the foster care, you don't get your driver's license. So they come out without a driver's license, 90% of the girls that come. And so they don't drive, but they have places to be. They need to get a job so they can make money so that they get, so we have a need for transportation, and you guys are pretty local. So driving the girls in places is great. They have appointments, they have everything that comes up, as well as if you want to be involved with our fundraising and our events. But one of the best ways really is just to advocate for us. And so as a community, if you have a way that we can come in and we can share and we can spread awareness of our daughter's house and just share about what we do, and that's huge for us. And then we'll, like, whether that's I'll come in and we can do a lunch for your ladies or your small group or your business or your team. Or it's just whatever that needs to look like. We would love to just come in and share about our daughter's house, as well as we have just projects around the home too. So there's always something, like we built a chicken coop, we have garden beds, and there's projects that pop up. And so if you follow us on social media or subscribe to our email, you will see everything that we do. And so there's projects that come up, and we'll ask and we'll say, hey, who's skilled in this, or who would like to come in, do something at the home, paint, and stuff like that. But yeah, so there's always ways.
Yeah, I'd say also we love when people pray for our girls, because they're coming against so much. Imagine being in such torment or trauma because of a situation you were in, and then you're trying to stand up and resist that and resist all the things that you were involved in. And so one of the ways is just to pray for our girls, and then providing for our girls is within the home. It's residential care. We have to afford the home, the food, all these things that they need. So providing and then the participating. So it's like being a mentor with a girl, walking with her. The transportation is a huge thing, because that is your freedom. When you don't have a car and you have to rely on somebody else, it's hard, So the transportation is definitely a thing to be, but also resources as far as like your skills. Like every person on this planet has something to learn and something to teach. And I think that if there's something that you're like, man, people need to know this, it's great. Our girls need to know that too, So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like Kendra and I had met you guys from we were a part of a organization here in Brenham, and then they were talking about, oh, well, the annual dinner at our daughter's house is happening. And I'm sorry, but I was like, your daughter's house? Like,
yes, we get that a lot.
And so anyways, we went and we started meeting kind of you guys and meeting the girls, and it was like, whoa. And so we were like, let's get involved in this. But one thing that, like, after we'd done like the paperwork and the background checks and all that stuff, is like, I can't remember if it was Jenny or you or somebody, but it was just like, you have to be consistent. Like, don't show up and then not be there. And so, like, my dad had a traumatic brain injury in February. So I was like, one thing I will not do is not be consistent, And so if you're watching and you're like, I want to contribute, like, just know that, like, if you're going to do it, you need to be consistent for these young ladies and for your staff and your team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. And I appreciate you saying that, because it is something where they were moved around from house to house or placement to placement and all these things. They're like, consistency is key, especially in just influence and relationship, right? You want to be able to live with somebody. You're living life with them. You're not just coming in to do something and leave. It's for the girls.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you are somebody who's consistently coming in and building a relationship with these girls and serving with them, I mean, some of the things that you will do is hold a baby. Our girls need to take a shower. I mean, they have newborns, or they have to study for their GED, and it's hard to study when you have a kid running around. Or you sit down with them and you help them build their resume. There's just so many different ways that you can come alongside our girls and help. It'll look different every time you come in. It'll just be, what are we doing today? We're different girls, different seasons, but yeah, it's really sweet. But
Also,
consistency is key.
That, and we used to have a girl that would just come in and play games or have a movie night once a week or something, because
Social.
we like to just be social too. Girls are social, you know?
Yeah,
So
and
it
just
doesn't
chill.
It doesn't have to always be so serious,
Yeah.
but we love to be able to just provide fun and community. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you guys just had your homestead dinner like about almost a month ago, a couple weeks ago.
yes.
Yeah, in November.
Yeah.
Early November.
So is that kind of a yearly, well, I know it's a yearly thing, but is it take about a year long to prepare something like to get ready for 25?
Takes about 8 months, I would
Yeah,
say.
9
And
months,
we get
yeah.
a little 4-month break in there before we start gearing up for it again. Yeah, so yes.
Yeah, we had about 300 people this
That's awesome.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was beautiful as always, and
Yeah.
very short and sweet and to the point of like, listen, we're on the move. The Lord is on the move, and these girls are amazing, and they're on the move. And so if you want to jump on, this is your chance, you know?
Yeah.
So
You know, and that was the thing, like when we went, it was just like all walks of life came from all different corners
Yeah.
of Texas or even Florida.
Right.
Like we all came out and we met them. And so, I mean, like people were coming from all walks of life, different demographics, different vibes. And they were just like, we're here. Let's all work together here and make this a great success. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's amazing what speaks to each person. There's something about our daughter's house, whether it's homelessness, trafficking, foster care, young moms. There's so many ways that it just speaks to individuals. And so it brings people from all over. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, do you have any final thoughts or anything that you like want to share with everybody before we get ready to sign off?
Go ahead.
well, I just know that one of my key things when leaving people is just remind them that like you're influencing someone because someone's watching at all times, right? In the best way. And so just to be intentional in your
Not
influence.
Big Brother.
Yeah, not Big Brother. But like these girls, these kids, the ones growing up, like we don't know their stories, but we know that what we can do is an influence. And so what you do right now actually truly matters. And man, I'm excited for this generation. I don't see it as a threat. I don't see it as something to be scared. I'm excited for what's to come because they're brilliant, and they will pass us very quickly if we don't hang on. So just to get involved and to not sit back, it's a great time to be involved.
Yeah, I would say the same of like, if you're thinking, oh, me, what can I do? I mean, there is something for, all you have to do is ask and we will find something, a niche for you. And don't think like the next person's going to do it. We definitely have a need. We have a need for volunteers. We have a need for people to be invested, a need for people to share. And so if you're listening and you're like, and you feel compelled and called, then then reach out. Like absolutely reach out. We're very approachable. We will personally answer. And so
The home started because when Jenny and Chris were going, okay, we're going to do something, we're going to learn from other people, someone looked at them and goes, there's nothing like this. And so if you see a problem, if you see an issue, if you see something that's not right, like this is the time to just do that. Don't wait till somebody's going to do that and I'll join them. No, you do that. You know, you get engaged, you start that, have that step of faith, and like the Lord is going to honor that.
Love that. So we have our fancy shirts on.
Yes.
Prevent, protect, provide.
Yes.
Any details about like what that means?
Yeah, so we're prevention home. We don't want them to be on the streets. We don't want them to be trafficked, right? We don't want them to go down that line. And so we're also going to protect the ones that are in our home, those little ones, those little minds, those little eyes, those little ears, and then being able to provide opportunity. That's what we're here for, is to provide opportunity and a space for you to go, you're right, I can do that, right? And I'm gonna, and I can, and I will.
So if someone wants to reach out to you or start that conversation, like where can they find you on socials, or what's the best way?
Yeah, I mean, socials, we have an Instagram, Facebook, they're welcome to email. We on our website there's an email that they can email us, and we are pretty responsive. So so we're always checking our emails, always looking for people. So but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So before we sign off and everything, so it's so funny, like our little slogan for our team is See, Search, Love. So it's kind of like your
it.
3 words. So this is just a little sweet little bag. So, and I think it's so cool. They're the same. Mm-hmm. I think it's so cool that from all different walks of life we've met, and to have this conversation to bring awareness. That's for you guys too.
Oh, thank you.
So, maybe when people see that on your backs and then the front of us, that we can have that conversation, get more people involved and aware, and, hopefully helping you out.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
so
for
much.
just the opportunity to talk. And like she said, advocacy is a big deal around here. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you got amazing insight into what they're doing over at Our Daughter's House. If you want to reach out to us, have any questions, you can find us at texastrioteam.com. Take care and keep living your best life.